This is the tale of a proven real-world warrior who, way back in 1954, issued a prophetic warning to the human race. One more relevant today than ever. A thinker whose insights were honored with a Nobel Prize. Welcome to the mirror that is Lord of the Flies. William Golding, born in the rugged coastal region of Cornwall in 1911, grew up in a household that valued rational thought and scientific inquiry. His father, a schoolmaster and strong advocate for science, encouraged William to pursue knowledge and reason above all else. Despite this logical upbringing, young Golding was irresistibly drawn to early science fiction, eventually discovering his own true passion in adventure literature and creative writing. His years spent as a schoolteacher were formative, providing him with a unique window into the minds and behaviors of young boys. Observing their friendships, rivalries, and struggles, Golding gained first-hand insight into the complex social dynamics and hidden tensions that exist within groups. Insights that would later fuel his most famous novel. Golding's worldview was forever altered by his harrowing experiences serving in the Royal Navy during World War II. Witnessing the chaos and brutality of war, he saw the darkness that humans are capable of, and these memories left a lasting mark on his perspective. He came to believe that the roots of society's darkness lie within each individual, not just in external circumstances. This profound realization became the foundation for his groundbreaking novel, Lord of the Flies. William Golding wrote Lord of the Flies as a direct challenge to the optimistic adventure stories popular in his era, aiming to reveal the fragility of civilization and the ease with which order can collapse into chaos. After facing numerous rejections from publishers, Lord of the Flies was finally published in 1954. Though its initial reception was modest, the novel gradually gained recognition for its powerful themes and haunting vision, eventually earning Golding the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1983. Today, Lord of the Flies truly endures, as a chilling prophecy about the dark side of human nature and the dangers of us and them thinking, resonating with readers and threatening fulfillment, perhaps now more than ever. Lord of the Flies opens with a group of British schoolboys stranded on a tropical island after a plane crash during a global conflict. Ralph and Piggy, the first to meet, discover a conch shell and use it to gather the other survivors, establishing the beginnings of order. The boys elect Ralph as leader, with Jack, the head of the choir, put in charge of hunting. Early on, they set rules: whoever holds the conch shell may speak, and a signal fire must be kept burning for rescue. Initially, the boys cooperate, building shelters and mapping the island, but cracks soon appear. The younger boys are haunted by nightmares of a beast, while the older ones struggle to maintain the fire. Then the excitement of hunting, led by Jack, quickly overshadows the tedious work of building a society. Thus the seeds of division and fear are sown almost from the start. As time passes, the boys split into two factions. Ralph's group, focused on rescue and order, and Jack's, drawn to hunting and primal freedom. The conch shell becomes the symbol of democracy and civilized debate, while Jack's spear represents violence and power. Jack's hunters, once a choir, transform into a painted tribe, embracing ritual and savagery. A core conflict emerges: Ralph's insistence on the signal fire versus Jack's obsession with the hunt. When a passing ship is missed because the fire goes out, the rift between Ralph and Jack becomes irreparable. Ralph's authority wanes as more boys are lured by Jack's promise of excitement and meat. As the summoning shell loses power, meetings are ignored, and the civilized rules begin to crumble. the island becomes a battleground for two competing visions of society. A terrible descent into chaos accelerates as the boys abandon order for instinct. The boys' transformation into savages is marked by painted faces, a ritual that strips away their former identities and replaces them with something wild and primal. The paint becomes a mask, allowing them to hide from their own consciences and from each other, blurring the line between play and violence. Further devolution is marked by ritual chants that echo through the forest, growing louder and more frenzied with each passing day. These chants unite the hunting faction in a shared purpose, but also fuel their descent into chaos and aggression. A growing disregard for rules soon follows. The mask of paint frees them from shame, unleashing their darkest impulses. The first successful hunt sparks a frenzy of excitement and violence, as the boys taste the thrill of power and dominance over nature. Finally, the chant, "Kill the pig, cut her throat, spill her blood," becomes their tribal anthem. Violence, at first reserved for animals, then turns inwards as the boys' sense of morality fades and their patterns grow more brutal. They reenact hunts on each other. Fear of the beast, manipulated by Jack, cements his power over the group and drives them further from civilization, making them more susceptible to his influence. This descent justifies savage rituals. The offering of a pig's head, the Lord of the Flies, marks their surrender to superstition and evil. Only Simon understands that the beast lies within themselves, not an external monster, a truth that isolates him from the others and seals his fate. In a moment of tragic abandon and frenzy, the boys' fear and hysteria reaches a breaking point. Simon is mistaken for the island's supposed beast and killed by the group. The boys' innocence is lost forever, replaced by guilt and horror at what they have become. As they descend into collective madness, the island's paradise becomes a stage for brutality and fear, a haunting reminder of how quickly civilization can unravel when darkness takes hold. Jack's rise is a study in how fear and charisma can overpower reason. Losing the initial election, Jack undermines Ralph by offering the boys excitement, meat, and freedom from responsibility. He manipulates their fear of the beast, presenting himself as the only one who can protect them. His leadership is built on division, reinforced with control and intimidation, not consensus. Forming his own tribe at Castle Rock, Jack rules as a chief through violence and terror. United by fear, rituals, and war paint, the boys follow him into emulating man's ancient tribal past. After Simon's death, Jack's tribe raids Ralph's camp for Piggy's glasses, the key to making fire. In the final confrontation, Piggy is killed, the conch shell is destroyed, and Jack's dictatorship is complete. Malevolent Chief Jack then orders his now brainwashed warriors to hunt Ralph, turning the island into a place of terror. Lord of the Flies is a stark exploration of human nature, suggesting that civilization is a fragile mask over our primal instincts. Golding's story strips away the comforts and rules of society, exposing the raw, often unsettling truths about what lies beneath. The novel asks us to consider, when the structures of order fall away, what remains of our humanity? Golding's isolated setting sets up the island as a microcosm for testing whether evil is inherent or imposed by society. The isolation of the boys creates a pressure cooker, forcing their true natures to the surface and challenging the boundaries between innocence and corruption. The feared beast turns out not to be a creature in the jungle, but the darkness within each boy. It is a symbol of their collective fear, a manifestation of the inner turmoil and savagery that grows as their hope for rescue fades. The novel's warning is clear. In tough times, cunning, power-hungry personalities, seeking personal gain and control, will exploit partisan tendencies inherent in humans. They'll engineer a supposed crisis, a beast, to provoke fear, shift blame, and make the others into enemies. Lord of the Flies' central conflict between Ralph and Jack is an allegory for democracy versus dictatorship. Their struggle is not just for leadership, but for the very soul of the group, reflecting the eternal tension between chaos and order. Ralph's leadership is based on reason and shared responsibility. He hopes for rescue and prizes cooperation, his shell trumpet a symbol of order and civil discourse. Jack's, on the other hand, is rooted in fear and immediate gratification. He appeals to the boy's atavistic instincts, the ancient thrill of the hunt, the comfort of belonging to a wild yet powerful group. The boys' surrender to groupthink and ritual shows how easily individual morality can be lost in a mob. As their chants grow louder, their sense of self fades, replaced by a warlike collective identity. Simon and Piggy's slayings are collective acts, not individual choices. These tragedies reveal how quickly compassion and reason can be overwhelmed by fear and violence when any indoctrinated group turns on its own. The novel is also a story of lost innocence. The boys are forced to confront the reality of evil within themselves. Their journey is a painful awakening, marking the end of childhood and the beginning of self-awareness. And the arrival of a naval officer in the climax is deeply ironic. The boys are rescued from their own war by an adult world still at war. The cycle of violence and conflict is not limited to the island, it echoes the larger world beyond. Ralph weeps not for rescue, but for the darkness he has seen in himself and others. His tears are for the loss of innocence, and for the knowledge that the line between good and evil is far more fragile than he had ever imagined. Golding's message is powerful and perennial. The line between civilization and savagery is perilously thin, and it is up to each one of us to decide which side we choose to walk. In contrast to Golding's bleak vision, a real-life story from 1965 offers hope. A group of Tongan boys, stranded on a deserted island for over a year, survived with no violence, only cooperation and compassion. They organized food catching, kept fires burning, built shelters, and resolved disputes peacefully. When one boy was injured, the others cared for him until he healed. Their days were structured with work, play, and prayer, maintaining both body and spirit. After 15 months, they were rescued, healthy, united, and resilient. This uplifting story, documented by Rutger Bregman, shows that humans are capable of extraordinary kindness under pressure. The Tongan castaways made a series of ongoing choices, which serve to remind us that Golding's vision is a warning, not an inevitability. When first published, Lord of the Flies was seen as a Cold War allegory, reflecting fears of global conflict, nuclear apocalypse, and the fragility of democracy. The island's descent into tribalism mirrored the world's division into hostile camps. Jack's rise through fear and violence echoed expansive dictatorships, such as Soviet-era Russia. Today, the novel's relevance endures in an age of political polarization and social division. The split into factions, the demonization of others, and the triumph of emotion over reason feel more timely than ever. Modern right-wing political strongmen echo Jack's cult of personality and dismissal of rules. Ralph's struggle to maintain order is a warning for an era where civility, expertise, and even thoroughly grounded science are often derided or ignored. the novel reminds us that social cohesion itself is fragile and easily shattered by the forces of tribalism. Decades later, Lord of the Flies remains a powerful allegory for the human condition. The novel forces us to confront how easily order can collapse and how quickly, in the absence of critical thinking, fear can take over. William Golding implied that for civilization to survive, constant effort and vigilance are required. His story's themes, the brainwashing of groupthink, the allure of power, the thrill of aggression, and the loss of individual conscience, are more relevant than ever in our age of combative social media, manufactured online crises, and denunciation of opponents as traitors and enemies. Lord of the Flies challenges all civilized people to recognize their darker impulses and guard against them. Those Tongan castaways prove that a different path is possible, one of cooperation and hope. But the fire of civilization can only endure if we all choose to actively tend it together. Have you read Lord of the Flies? Do you believe it's being acted out on today's world stage? Please share your insights with us in the comments section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to help keep world literature alive.
Long before Golding's time, genius Enlightenment activist Voltaire wrote of civilized travelers under pressure turning on each other, in Candide, which we survey in episode 23.